very first question was actually a question about biodegradable plastic mulch. Researchers are starting to look into um, biodegradable plastics that don't have to be removed from the field and can be tilled in at the end of the season. And the question is, what about these? And also, are they more expensive? So I'll just go ahead and delve into that question because actually, we've been working at California Marine Sanctuary Foundation along with Washington State University and Mark Bolda at UC Cooperative Extension on some trials in strawberry fields here on the Central Coast to see how biodegradable mulch works in the strawberry systems here. It's been used up in Washington State successfully in their production, but it's really a climate dependent kind of product that could decompose or degrade differently in different kinds of climates, different moisture and soil conditions. So we're just in the middle of our first season of trials on those particular products, and it's going very well so far, but the season hasn't ended, so we can't speak to the complete success, but growers so far have not noticed a difference in their production under the current biodegradable mulches. One of the issues is that these mulches are about twice as expensive as normal PE plastic mulch. However, because they're designed to be tilled into the crop at the end of the season, the labor savings offsets the extra cost. So Washington State did evaluate, did do a full cost cycle evaluation and found out that they're roughly equal in cost when you consider both the extra cost at the beginning plus the labor savings. However, the issue currently is that they are not made 100% from biodegradable or from corn vegetated materials. And so they have not been approved for use in organic agriculture at this point in time. And the Organic Standards Board is still reviewing the product to make, they may change their decision, or we may find that these products can be made out of crops and starches rather than out of some petrochemical products. Right now, they're made out of a combination of both, typically. So that's a little bit of background on that. And I'll let Javier, because he's doing some trials on his field, also speak to that question.
Sure, Pam. It's working out really well. So far, I mean, we're almost, at the tail end of our season, and it's still in place. There hasn't been much difference between the conventional, petroleum-based mulch and this biodegradable one. So it looks very promising. I think well, first of all, I appreciate you guys doing these trials with us, and I'm happy to do it. I think there's a big need for us to be sustainable and think of future. And that's one of the main reasons I do it. Because, I mean, we know, strawberry growers, we know that it doesn't matter how good of a job we do trying to pick up the mulch from the year before, a lot of particles would stay in there, and they're going to take a few years for them to be to disappear. And what I have seen is people that rotate with veggie growers. Sometimes the little particles are left behind. Sometimes they get burned by the veggie growers using the pyro burner to eliminate the weeds. So that's probably not okay to do. It's and picking up all the little pieces of plastic, it requires a lot of hard work and very expensive. I have experienced that myself, and you've seen Pam and I have done some gathering of people to go and pick plastic at our fields right after the strawberry season is over. So looks very promising. I think with as community and those people that have the saying and whether it should be authorized for organic production, I think we all need to get together and really realize that the sooner the better. There is a need for us to do it ethically, and also it's just a lot better for the environment. Thank you, Pam.
Thank you, Javier. So I'm going to go on to the questions about cover crops now. So the first question is, what happens with the mustard and Sudan, with the mustard after the Sudan grass dies? Does it die right away too, or immediately following, or do you need to do some extended growth management? And that's to you, Eric, I think.
Yeah. So sorry if I misunderstood that when I read it in the chat. So basically, the Sudan grass pretty much dies out. Some years it grows well early in the fall, or like this time of the year, but other years it's not as consistent. Whereas mustard, as long as it's not planted too deep, it will grow very well, and it generally won't die. Like if you just let it grow without doing anything to it, it'll flower. After it flowers, it sets seed and then it dies. But the beauty of mustard is if you cut it off low to the ground, like this high above the soil surface, usually it will die. You can also step on it and that will somewhat kill it. Just crush it with a wheel of a tractor or something like that. But the really nice thing about mustard, and this is why I kind of started doing a lot of work on it, is that it's so easy to kill mechanically. Whereas, rye or barley or any other cereal, those are not easy to kill mechanically. They can be a real nightmare because their growing point is it's actually below the soil surface. Whereas mustard, it's not. So, that's the beauty of mustard, is it dies easily, and the residue does not turn into these long pieces that are kind of like rope. So, rye or barley residue tends to be really tough, whereas mustard residue, you can break it in half. You can take a stem and it'll snap clean. You try to break a piece of rye, it doesn't break like that, it just bends. And so that's one of the challenges with the grasses compared with these broadleaf cover crops like mustard. The residue is easy to deal with. One tool that I couldn't find my picture of it because I've got a problem with my picture database. But anyway, a really important tool that Roy and I've been using a lot of is a small rototiller that goes right into the furrow of the cover crop of the strawberries. So typically we'll mow down the cover crop, and then we'll either use this Rototiller tool, which is like a long-handled. It's like a berry knife on the end of a very long handle, and you can kind of cut the stuff that didn't get cut with a weed whack or whatever. And then Roy will run over it with his small rototiller, which will incorporate the mustard into the furrow bottom. And then to kind of smooth out that furrow bottom, Roy uses this thing that I think, Roy, you call it a boat or something?
Right, yeah, a boat. It's kind of a cement long steel that smooths out the ditch, after we till.
Yeah, so that kind of smooths it really nicely. And, if you look at if I can just quickly share my screen here. If you look at this, let me see, it's this, I'm gonna go down to another picture here, this one. So, if you look right here, you can see there's residue in there, but we've already gone through with this boat thing and it nicely smooths it out. And that's you pretty much don't even see the residue after, after a few months, the residue is pretty much gone. And that's one of the beauties of of using mustard is it doesn't have a lot of stuff that is around and, you know, causes problems for the strawberry pickers with their harvest carts and all of this. So hopefully that answers that question.
Thank you, Eric. So then there are several questions just about cover crop selection. So I'll just ask them all. Why only Ida Gold and not other mustards? How about using clover as a furrow cover crop? And is there a smaller in stature cover crop that could be used that you wouldn't have to mow?
Can I, or Eric, can I answer?
Javier.
Yeah, I'll answer that as a grower. I mean, it just, you can't do it all at one shot. What you do is every year you try something. I think if you were listening to when I was answering the questions that Laura said, I did try the Ida Gold, and I do some cereal at the end of each bed, beginning and end. But I also said that it got too big, that I've been talking to Laura about using something else other than the Ida Gold. And clover is a good option. So we're gonna try that out, perhaps this year, right, Laura? Because you said you had some that you could share with me, and then I can go and buy some more. So as a grower, you always try something. And we can give you just use this, use that, because and then we're stopping you from being creative. And being a farmer, it's you need creativity. You need to have an open mind. You need to have somebody like Eric sharing his research and tell you what he's seen. And then you come out and experience it. And you will see that maybe some things don't work out, but some others work really well. That's why we have this kind of gathering. Comprende?
Comprende. You know, I like what you said there, Javier, about trying things out, because it's a journey and it's going to take a while. I mean, Roy has been doing this with me since 2011. And I would say we're not figured it all out, but we're making progress. You know, I understand that the interest in smaller statured things that are easier to manage. Here's my worry about clover. I like the idea kind of, but I'm afraid it's not going to die easily. And I'm a little afraid it might get really weedy. And I'm also afraid it might set seeds that cause problems with the next rotation. And, you know, so it might even compete, you know, if it's a perennial clover, it could compete with the strawberries. So, but I don't know. So I'm not saying don't try it. I think it's awesome. Go try it. Just try a small area. Because I've tried a lot of things that have failed, and that's how we learn. One thing that Roy and I tried one year was buckwheat. You know, buckwheat is a warm season cover crop. Buckwheat took quite a long time to die, though. I was kind of surprised. But here's the problem with buckwheat. It didn't really give us really good weed control. And so what I want, and I think what Roy, you know, at the USDA, I require that all of our strawberries in the organic production area be cover cropped. So I've kind of said that's the way we're going to do it, but we didn't know how to do it yet. But Roy and I have been working on this together. But what we want is we want something that produces vegetation that is not weeds, and vegetation that's easy to manage. You know, it's a learning process. This year, what we're going to be trying is a different mustard. So Ida Gold, there's another variety called White Gold, which is now you can't even get Ida Gold. It's White Gold is the new variety, but they're both the same species. Sinapis alba is the species of mustard. It has a hollow stem. Pacific Gold is Brassica gentiana, which is a different species. It has a solid stem. It's more like the mustard that you would buy in the store, like mustard greens. Pacific Gold is something we're going to try this year. I'm kind of hopeful that it might work a little bit better in terms of not having to deal with it as early on, like not have to cut it down. But here's the problem with Pacific Gold. it's not as competitive as Ida Gold. So it doesn't grow, it doesn't like fill in the ground cover as quickly from what I've seen with other times when I've grown it with after vegetables. The other challenge with Pacific Gold is it has a smaller seed. Ida Gold is already small enough. You know, you get Pacific Gold, it's even smaller. So you plant this deep with Pacific Gold, it might not come up. Maybe it needs it this deep. You see the difference? I mean, just a small amount. So these are the kind of challenges that growers have to actually deal with is, can I get it in there in a nice band? Will it germinate well? Will my seed cost be a waste because I planted it and it didn't germinate? You know, so there's all these kind of issues you're dealing with. So, you know, stay tuned. I wouldn't recommend Pacific Gold yet because I haven't tried it, but we're going to try it and see. But I am confident Ida Gold or white gold works well, but you do have to deal with a height issue. But it's great at closing the furrow, suppressing weeds. We still use the hoe though to control weeds on the side. So anyway, that's a few thoughts on that. Roy, I don't know, you have anything to say about that?
No, you just said it the way, and it's kind of a hard to you know, let go something that we are, you know, trying for a few years, and we are seeing that it's effective, and then just that we need to do something better to knock it down and, you know, incorporate it to the soil. I mean, that's what I think, because knowingly that it grows really quick and it shades, you know, my weeds that are gonna come out. I'm seeing, you know, already some savings, you know, coming along, so that I can put my effort on how am I gonna knock it down, what time, and all of this. So that's where I, you know, concentrate myself to. But I'm always willing, as you know, to try different things, and I think we're already planning to do some, you know, some other things that we can try.
Thank you. There was actually a question for you, Roy, which is, have you know, we've been talking about the different cover crops. Which ones have you tried?
Overall, we have used, if it's open and it's not planted in the strawberries, you know, we use oats. We use a mix of oats, fava bean, and lana veg. That's kind of a cover crop that we use on kind of an open ground. And the furrows, it's been Ida Gold. It's been the leader, and then also some trials with Sudan, and what Eric commented also. But mainly on my fields, we've been sticking with Ida Gold, and with Eric, we've been doing more of the trials so that we see what works and what doesn't, and then we get them into the next field, that where I grow more strawberries. Yeah.
And so, thank you. And here's a question specifically about that Ida Gold. Does it suppress more wild morning glories?
Yeah, I just
I
put
think
it in the
either
chat
you
there.
Morning glory it's a hard one. It's a hard one to control. But I would say that would be the only one that it's if we don't see it there at the USDA, but over here on my other field, we don't, it's rare, because you won't be able to get rid of the morning glory because its roots are so deep that, you know, you can cut it any height, or even, you know, cut it into the soil, and then eventually it's gonna spark up either one or two areas, or sometimes even three different vines, you know, coming. So you slow it down, but then it comes back. So that would be hard to for anything to control. Morning glory is to me is the toughest weed to get rid of it.
Yeah, we actually have some morning glory in our long-term experiment, and this is a situation where I wish the organic regulation was more flexible, because for me, morning glory is like cancer. And a little bit of conventional herbicide like Roundup would be like a chemotherapy. I could come in and I could spot treat a small area, like, 3 feet wide, and kill it off before it spreads through the whole area. And, I know I could control it, but I lose my certification. So what do? You just till the heck out of the ground, which is not very good from a sustainability standpoint. So this is one of the challenges. Now, there was a quote unquote organic herbicide that was quite effective against morning glory, but guess what it had in it? Roundup, glyphosate. That was called a weed slayer. So, that was fraud. We're not allowed to use that herbicide anymore. But that herbicide was showing some effectiveness against morning glory, but then they found out there was glyphosate in it. So anyway, that's just my thoughts on that issue.
Okay, thanks. And then here's the last question, which is about the cost. And have you tracked the number of hours, the number of labor hours to implement the different steps in this practice? And have you compared it with not doing this practice?
So Laura actually gave a little bit of information on what it cost in her small area. We estimate about 200 pounds an acre, or $200 an acre for planting costs. That would include seed costs, labor costs, irrigation tape, something like that, like $200 an acre. But what we have not tracked, I have tracked the amount of time it takes to mow it with our push mower. That mower is so nice, it goes about as fast as you can walk. But I haven't determined the cost of that. But that's an area where we need to track that. But here's the big thing I like to think about is, what's the cost of growing strawberries? $35 to say plus $1,000 per acre. The cost of growing a cover crop is relatively small cost in that process. So, and if we think short term, yeah, the cover crop adds some cost, but you're saving your soil, like Javier was saying. You don't want all your soil to go to your neighbor's farm, or even worse, down to Monterey Bay. And you're also increasing infiltration into the groundwater, and you're also suppressing weeds and reducing your weeding costs. And so, cost is important, and we need to do more research on that, but you have to think broadly about the cost. Because when we don't grow cover crops in the furrows, that's costing other parts of our system. It's costing our water, our ocean, the future. So there's all kinds of external costs that we often don't think about.
That's right.
Yeah.
Eric, can I say something? Well, this is always gets to be like a little touchy subject when people are really thinking on what the cost is going to be, what the benefits. Well, it's really simple. Some of the numbers that you mentioned, it's actually a little more than $200 per acre to plant it, because the drip tape itself, it's probably close to $200 if you're going to have to irrigate, which I think you should, because you want to plant it really early. So it's probably a little more like $350, $400 per acre. It's not cheap, but the benefits are incredible. And I think what we need to do is get some sort of credit from the NRCS or some of the RCDs that are helping out for the acreage that you are putting cover crop, that you're already farming the strawberries, but we should have some sort of credit so we can pay for it. And that's the biggest issue. I think, yes, if you enter into a contract with the NRCS, they're not going to pay you the $350, $400 that you need that will cover the cost. But let's just not I know money moves the world, but if the world isn't here, money will not be made. Let's just think of the benefits that are for the environment and the way you're farming. I think we should think more towards that sustainability part and having some sort of partnership or some programs that can help you be sustainable. That's what I would advocate for. The cost, yes, it's the buying it, planting it is expensive. And the biggest cost is you not having the land available to do your broccoli or your Brussels sprouts or some winter crop that small growers actually need the land to have something planted you need to make money for your livelihood and maybe keep some workers working during the winter time. So it's a whole bunch of things that we have to somehow condense into whether this is good or bad. For the most part, I think it's all good, but there's a couple of bad things as well. But when we try to all figure things out, it's really doable. ¿Qué les parece? What do you think, Senor Roy?
Yeah, I think also that it turns iffy when you're talking about cost, how much it's gonna cost you, and then maintaining it, basically on a weekly basis or whatever we need to do. That's extra cost that we are incurring, versus not doing nothing or just, come in and, check after rain and that's it. But I also think that the benefits that we're getting it from future, in front of us, our next generation and all of this, it doesn't have a dollar sign, I think if we start now, with what we need to do, I think what we're gonna gain down the road is gonna be, a place that somebody else is gonna continue to farm, and if we don't take care of it ourselves now, what's gonna happen, down the road. I don't want to be an organic farmer that is gonna jump from one side hill to the next once I erode all the soil, there because of the farming, and move to another place because it's not productive. Why it's not productive? Because we're not doing anything about it. We're just depleting the soil, and that that makes it hard, hard to be. So I think it's touchy. Everybody has different ways to pay, and it just makes it a little bit hard to come in one year and do the whole thing if we don't pay attention to the cost. And I think that's one thing I'm definitely gonna work out with Eric this year, so that we have a better clue of what we're spending on doing this, so we can share with everybody and see how we can even make it better.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate ending on these very wise words and long-term perspective of looking to the environment and the future, for both farming and the community. It's so important to have that perspective and not just the straight dollar perspective when we make our decisions. So thank you so much for sharing your views, and thank you all the panelists for presenting your knowledge and information, and to our Spanish translator, Erin, thank you so much for the translation. And thank you to all the attendees for coming to this webinar. I'll be sending around information that's been referenced during the webinar, as well as some other sources of information for you, and ask that you also do our very short 1-minute evaluation, just letting us know what you learned and how you might apply it. And thank you again for coming, and goodbye, everybody. Have a good rest of your day.
Adios a todos.
Thank you. Adios, Javier.
Adios.
Can I
See, Eric.
Can I add one more comment real quick?
Sure.
So, one thing we've been talking about here is mainly focused on organic systems where it's hard, we don't have access to an herbicide to kill the cover crop. But there's no reason why conventional growers who have far more tools available to them couldn't be doing this practice using an herbicide and a grass herbicide and a grass cover crop in the furrow bottoms. So, in conventional, there's so many options out there. You could plant like a rye or barley, like I showed in my video, and come in with a grass selective herbicide and take it down when it's small, but still going to stop erosion. So, if there's conventional growers out there, that's what I'm hoping, is that they will consider some of these other options too. Organic ones, we don't have as many options, but I'm trying to think broadly. It's not just organic focus. This is organic and conventional, and it's actually most important. It's a sustainability focused. We want sustainable organic and sustainable conventional. And if you have erosion that's ruining your field in either systems, it's not a good idea. I think Roy and Javier have both made that point very clear. That, like Roy said it, probably the best thing that Roy said was, I don't want to go to the other side of the valley and farm on that hill once this hill that I'm on is finished. Let's stay focused on things like that. So I appreciate the input both Roy and Javier have given on this. This is awesome. And you guys are both,
to that, Eric.
Thank you.
You guys are both pioneers, so I appreciate your efforts to try to help with this process.
Hasta luego. Gracias.
Adios, Javier.
Gracias.